This is Fred Trotter, and this is my live stream. This is the first one from Datapalooza 2023. Um, so there is no official live stream from Datapalooza. I'm pretty sure this is the only one there is. So it's the unofficial but only version. And Academy Health has been very generous. I hope they're going to be coordinating speakers so that people will come up after they've spoken at Datapalooza and maybe come up and see me to the suite, which is not available right now. So it is 2:27, and I'm going to turn off my notifications. And my suite becomes available at 4, which is ironically just about exactly. Yeah, I think I was planning on taking maybe a little break. So I think I'm going to I don't know. Sometime around 4, I might stop this and go upstairs. So I'll try to keep this short and interesting. And I'll try to also remember that if I touch the table, the whole screen moves, which is not a pleasant experience for you. People are just starting to arrive here for Health Datapalooza, people who get here a day early. So I imagine I'll see a bunch of friends tonight. I'm really looking forward to that. Datapalooza really is my conference, not in the sense that I'm important at the conference in any sense. That's not true. But it's certainly my people and the people who care about the way data impacts healthcare and the relationship between healthcare policy and transparency in the healthcare system and the work that the government can do to do that. And let me just go real quick. I still have some discount codes that I was given as a Health Datapalooza ambassador. I don't think all of them have been used. So if you are a last minute Washington, D.C. local and you want to attend Datapalooza tomorrow, please contact me on Twitter or contact me on LinkedIn or something, and I can send you a code that will save you a little bit of money on the registration, especially if you are a patient. The reason I'm doing this stream is because I think, I've been trying to contribute and help with Datapalooza planning for quite some time. And to at least a minor degree, I have succeeded in doing that. One of the things that Academy Health, that their marketing team and their conference team have been discussing since, the middle of last year, easily, is the fact that they were not in a position to afford the kind of egregious expense of Wi-Fi at the conference. And my concern and their concern, and the reason why we agreed that I would do this at the conference, is that we're in the middle of a recession. People are getting laid off. It's not economically possible to go to a conference all the time. There's also I don't know if we're in the middle of a pandemic, at the end of a pandemic, or the beginning of an endemic. I'm not exactly trying to talk about it, but COVID's still a real thing and a problem for people, especially if you're immunocompromised. In fact, we know some patients who have gotten COVID are not going to be able to attend this conference. So I've had to bow out at the last minute. So, and one of the wonderful things about Datapalooza is that it's a patient-centric conference. I would argue, I think Health 2.0 does a good job of being patient-centric. HIMSS does a good job in the grand scheme of things of being patient-centric healthcare technology conferences. But I think Datapalooza has done the best. And just by the ratio of attendees to patient attendees, I think it's done the best. And there's a huge cohort of e-patients, people from the Society for Participatory Medicine, which is the closest thing to a watering hole, a meta patient watering hole online, where patients tend to gravitate towards other patients online. So the people who have diabetes, kind of form groups. People who have type 1 diabetes form different groups. The people who have the cancer patients, breast cancer, have the separate groups. So there's these, by condition and mostly in a taxonomy of suffering, to be frank, the patient community online organizes itself in a way that allows them to take care of each other. And then if you are lucky enough that whatever your condition is takes over your life, or unfortunately, in many cases, you're a caregiver and the person who you're caring for with the condition or disease died. You very frequently find what you're frustrated with in the healthcare system are problems that are germane to every patient. And when that happens, people start to gravitate towards the Society for Participatory Medicine, or the e-patient community, which is kind of the biggest alliance of patients who are interested in generally things to do with policy and data stuff. I think Andrea Downing and I worked on, and she has continued to work on, I've stopped, but she's continued to work on an organization called the Light Collective, which actually I should be just Light Collective. Running. There we go. She goes by Brave Bosom online. And let me just start sharing my screen. That is what half the fun on this live stream is watching me browse the internet. And all right, we're going to choose to have me be really small. I wish I could be a little bit bigger, but you can see me. I'm down here in the corner. And let me see here, just before we get going too much, this could be like a feedback loop. So if it is for a second, excuse me. There we go. Mute this. Yep, it's muted. Okay. So here is where, hey Scott, how's it going? Thanks for joining. Apparently there's, yeah, there is a way. I mean, so I'm using Restream, and I'm using Restream is because it allows me to broadcast myself on LinkedIn at the same time I do Twitter and YouTube. And the reason I'm doing that, as opposed to just using Twitter, is I have really invested a lot in Twitter in order to do my personal branding and to connect with people who care about the kind of healthcare policy issues, patient rights issues that I care about. And I have, I think, about like 8,000 followers. Someday soon, I'm going to cross the 10,000 follower lines. And none of them are like, they don't follow me on Twitter because you don't follow me on Twitter because I do good dances, right? I'm not, I think it was the flossing. I'm not a person who can do the floss dance. And that's not why you follow me. I mean, if you're following me, it's because you're interested in the very, very geeky, kind of problem behind the problem analysis. Oh, this important thing just came up on a PubMed search I've never seen before type tweets, right? It's and if you're following me, that's like it's 8,000 very specific people who are in my audience. People so I wrote a book, Hacking Healthcare, and people like it's an introduction to health IT and healthcare technology, and it's very old now. It's almost 10 years old. Surprisingly relevant for a 10-year-old technology book. I still get compliments on it. And by the way, if you want to buy a copy of the book, tweet to me and I'll tell you which chapters are hopelessly out of date and which chapters are still relevant. But in general, this audience is good, right? And it's the kind of people who I want to be interacting with. And Twitter, from my perspective, since Elon Musk has taken over, is in danger of becoming a cesspool at any moment. I think there's a bunch of threshold effects where, one more wrong turn that he could make, and one dumb thing he does could just bring the platform down, turn it into just a troll only digital society. So very disappointed in the way Twitter's gone. I don't actually care for LinkedIn. I think the way I use LinkedIn in the past is if I had friends who were looking for jobs and I had friends who were hiring, I would use it to connect them. And I would just say, hey, if you're looking for work, let me reach out and I'll recommend you and I'll, do what I can to connect you using that as a tool. I did not use LinkedIn for anything else, but now LinkedIn is, from my perspective, I've looked at Mastodon and I've not been satisfied with Mastodon as a place to up. There's some problems with that model too, which are complicated. I haven't made up my mind about how to think about those problems yet, but it's just not an obvious drop-in replacement. But I think in general, because most of the people who I have interacted with, I'd say about half of them are patient activists, and they're not really finding LinkedIn useful for other reasons, but the professional researchers and the clinicians, everybody else who follows me from the kind of professional side of my work, they're all already on LinkedIn. And so anyways, I'm using, all that is to say, I'm using Restream.io because it makes it simple for me to stream to YouTube and to Twitter and to LinkedIn all at the same time. So that's the reason I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. So this organization, let me just find the for participatory medicine, Society for Participatory Medicine. And I'm so thankful that you do not have to spell correctly in order to get a Google search to work. I don't even know what I would do if you. So this is the meta watering hole that I was talking about. I think it's very useful kind of before. I think it's useful to have before Datapalooza begins. Like, where do patients out online that is kind of doing good things? And I think Society for Participatory Medicine has done some amazing thing. I think I've been very impressed with the leadership. I think it's a dysfunctional organization. I think all organizations are dysfunctional. It's the nature of organizations function. It's made up of people, and people are dysfunctional. So when you make a soup of people, which an organization is, of course it's dysfunctional, right? It's a psychological soup of a bunch of people who are messed up. I've never contributed sanity to any organization that I've been a member of. I've contributed, but not sanity. So I think it's normal for a organization to be dysfunctional. And then the question is, are you so dysfunctional that you're not productive? And I think Society for Participatory Medicine, among patient communities, because they can. So in general, a patient community online, I'd say typically, and of course, the misinformation hubs and the people who are anti-vax communities, they're counterexamples to this. But in general, they do a pretty good job of helping people connect with the resources they need to deal with their condition. When they try to do something else beyond that, when they try to set up a forum, when they try to set up, when they try to do, lobbying in the ways they're ethical to lobbying, some lobbying is ethical, some lobbying is not ethical. They don't, oftentimes they don't get as much done as they should. And Society for Participatory Medicine is, in some senses, free from that obligation to help patients, troubleshoot their specific issues. And as a result, they are more effective, I think, than the average patient community on doing all the other things. Not that they're perfect or kind of totally good, but they do get things done. And I really respect that. The organization that Andrea and I started, and Andrea now continues to work with, is the Light Collective. And it is basically, there are good organizations that focus on privacy. Dr. Peel's organization, I have a lot of respect for. They do a kind of good work on privacy. Epic does a bunch of good work. EFF does a bunch of good work. But I think the Light Collective is the first organization that is focused on the two sides of the coin. And that is making sure that data is working for patients and also that privacy is protected. And really getting into the trade-off and focusing on the trade-off. And so I really have a lot of respect for these organizations. And this is lightcollective.org. They're on Twitter. You should go visit them. I think one thing I want to acknowledge is that Carl Sarkin, I think I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, died recently. He was one of the kind of really early Light Collective. I presume that you could call him a founder. I'm not sure exactly what the rules are for who founds what, or co-founder or co-founder. I don't know, but he was extraordinarily helpful and played a role at the beginning that was not clear that we would be where we are on a bunch of policy issues, or the organization itself would be up to the degree that it is without Carl's contributions. So I think it's a good time to remember Carl. The Light Collective does good work. Society for Participatory Medicine does good work. Here's another this is kind of a movement. And I don't know if people have seen or know the pink socks. I have some pink socks here. And I'll have to admit, the tribe here, I think of the founder of this as Nick Adkins. I think that's probably not kind of correct. Looks like there's a bunch of other people here who are involved at the ground level, but Nick is the person who has done the speaking, and he has given me directly or indirectly so many of these socks, so many, in fact. I think they're kind of socks, which is the kind I like to wear. Like, I don't really like thick socks unless I'm actually hiking or something. And as a result of that, and the fact that I like to wear sandals, and the fact that there is a clothing attrition in my life, that is, clothes in general are not something, like, everybody has the parts of adulting that they're good at. And my clothes are not part of adulting that I'm wonderful at. So my clothes tend to kind of wear pretty quickly. And as a result of the fact that I wear through my socks pretty quickly, and that I've always given these, and there was, I think this is the box that Nick gave me to give away at Datapalooza here. He's so organized, and it's just like, I don't even have to think about asking him. He's just like, he knows I'm going to be here. He knows that I'll give them out. He knows that, like, I'm going to wear them all the time, and I do, and I will. And what will happen is that I'll go through, depending on the conference, I'll go the whole box, half a box, or I'll give one pair away, or none. It just depends. And there was one year when I got a lot of them because Palooza decided to make a formal thing, and they gave a bunch of them to the people who were at Datapalooza. And as a result, I don't own any socks that are not pink socks anymore. Like, I have these socks that are coming in. I have socks that are kind of dying the death that all clothes in my wardrobe die eventually, because I'm so hard on them. And then, so I'm like, well, I'm just going to wear these socks, and I still have excess. Right? I had brand new socks to give away at this conference before Nick sent me a box of brand new socks to give away at these conferences. I also have these little pins that are cool. Like, so if you don't want to wear socks and you just want to be like, I support this idea and this movement, you can do that. And I have a bunch of laptop stickers. I guess they're just stickers, and the only thing I use stickers for are laptops, so therefore they're laptop stickers to me. These are cool. And I think the right place to like these speeches that Nick gives, and he's gotten involved in kind of translating the idea of pink socks, these ideas to kids in an education. But like that video or this video, if you really want to know like what this is about, go watch this. But for me, the thing that I love about these ideas and the fact that the mechanics are, they make it really hard to buy the socks. You really have to be given the socks. And once you're given the socks and you've worn them enough, it puts you in the position that I'm in, where you give them away to other people because they've been given. Now, eventually donations, and I have donated to their organization. So in some senses, I'm funding the socks being sent to all the people who are in my position of carrying around boxes of socks and giving them away. But I think the lesson there. Oh, look at this. Here's my note from Nick. Fred, the world is full of good. When you believe it, you see it. Keep doing that. Have fun gifting and growing the Pink Socks tribe. I know you will. Create some smiles. Dash in. What a lovely note. So in healthcare, I apologize because I all the things I prepare are not here. I had a suite that I was going to video cast. I have materials that I was going to go over, things I'm going to talk about. So this became an impromptu talk based on what I have. What I have is a box of pink socks. When people talk about the healthcare system, they think about metaphor, and they think about what is the ways in which they reason about the world. They call healthcare a marketplace, but that is not a good way to describe that, because when you talk about a marketplace, you say, for instance, let's talk about the marketplace for corn, or the marketplace for oil, or the marketplace for consulting services, or whatever it is, like the marketplace for socks, the marketplace for in a restaurant food. The idea of a marketplace is an ancient idea. There's some place in a city, and that city starts out as a small kind of small street, and people start gathering there, and they start meeting at a building that's slightly larger than the other buildings, or centrally located, or convenient to the water, or whatever it is. And then people start to sell from a particular place. And what is true about ancient marketplaces is that you go there and you bring your money as a buyer, and if there's oranges, maybe there's only one vendor that sells oranges, and the oranges are expensive, and then so you decide not to buy the oranges. And then maybe you come back the next week and there's 5 vendors selling oranges, and now the oranges are all very inexpensive because all 5 vendors know that now the buyers are in charge. That is what a marketplace, that feeling of going to a place and having your resources, your coin, your gold, or I don't know, whatever it is you're there, your trade, your pretty beads, or I guess your paper money in more recent history. You can go to the marketplace, and if you don't like the prices or you don't like the product, you can leave. And the ability to leave and not buy, choose to not buy, is at the heart of what a marketplace is. It is the ultimate trump card that means that a buyer in a marketplace is in a marketplace. And that's not true. That's not how the healthcare system works. If you're ill or you have a disease and you are suffering as a result of it, you don't have a choice. You don't have a you have a choice about which, sometimes you have a choice about which physician or which hospital or which medication, and therefore which medication company that you can choose from. Sometimes you have choices, but you don't ever actually have the choice just to leave, right? And I guess actually some people do have the choice, and they make the choice, and they decide that they'd rather die than get health care. But in general, when the choice is death or profound suffering, it's not a real choice. And therefore, I don't think the healthcare system is a real marketplace. I think that's important, because when you talk about what a marketplace is or what it isn't, you're really talking about what things in life can you buy, and which things in life can only be gifted or only be given. So the pink socks, I think the biggest commentary, my biggest commentary, I don't know, that maybe Nick would agree with this. Maybe he would say Fred really gets it, or maybe he would say Fred has his own spin. I don't know. But what I like about the movement is that it constantly reaffirms, to make sure I'm still actually on the camera. It constantly reaffirms this aspect of our system, which is the patients need help and they don't have choice. And they need, in some cases, they need society to give them a gift. And people talk about healthcare as a right, and I certainly agree that it should be a right. If it's available to one person, it should be available to all people. And I don't really have any preference over the conservative versus the liberal view of how healthcare should be purchased versus not purchased. And I'm okay with some Republican ideas about the way a private marketplace, or I really don't like that marketplace, a privately sold health insurance system could be made to work. I think it's true, it could be made to work. But I also think that that alone, that healthcare must be bought, cannot be the end of the discussion. And healthcare must be universal. It's okay, maybe okay to be private. And I think the people who study the systems like the NHS and the Canadian system and socialized medicine, almost always people with socialized medicine are paying less and getting better healthcare. And the data on that is very clear. So while I say I'm okay with a Republican perspective, it's because I'm trying to be intellectually honest. I think the evidence actually is far in favor of socialized medicine. That is what is more effective. But I think no matter what, there is a moment in a patient's life, especially when you have a very complicated, very severe, or very different illness, the kind of illness that has you falling through the cracks of the healthcare system, where you need something that can only be gifted, that can't be bought. And that's this. You can't buy these socks. You can't buy these socks. You must be gifted the socks. And it's such a silly way to broach a really complicated and profound idea. And I think I'm waving these socks at you, hoping you're seeing me. So let me Let me do it this way for a second. Yeah, there we go. So I'm talking about these socks. Every time I'm saying you can't buy these, right? It's not actually possible. You can donate money to the Pink Socks Foundation, and then they'll gift a bunch of socks to people in your name. But you can't just buy a box of socks. It's not possible to buy these. And yet, buying socks, they're warm. I wear them to run in. I wear them. I wear the only socks I have. I wear them to every place that I go. When I wear socks, I try not to wear socks. I like sandals, but when I am wearing socks, it's very likely to be one of these socks that serve as a constant reminder that healthcare is not a marketplace. That some things can't be bought, some things must be gifts, and that finding a space for that generosity in the world is really important. I think that also appeals to me from the perspective of open research and open data and open source software. I love the idea that something becomes more valuable because it's given away rather than less valuable. And in all of those cases, open research, open data, open source software, that is a case where the thing accrues more valuable the more people have, the more people who are able to work with it. Like air or rights or healthcare equity, or there's just so many things that fall into this bucket of that which cannot be bought, that which can only be received and given, and in many cases, some of the most precious things in the world, including your health, are a perfect example of this. So I love having, and they're silly, right? They're pink, and they've got a little mustache on them. And they come with these, like if you get them from me, please feel free to try to find me at lunch or something at Datapalooza if you're going to be around. And they got this little pin, so if you don't want to wear socks, you want to just put it on your suit or something, you can put it there, or your shirt or collar. I don't know where people put pins. I always find that, remember I said I destroy my clothes. I always find if I put a pin on anything, the pin is going to get torn out, and then both the pin will be lost and the clothing will be destroyed. So I don't have pins. I try to avoid them because for me they do not work. Socks are much better. And then they also have these little sticker, the laptop sticker here, and then I got bigger stickers that I was showing earlier. These bigger laptop stickers. Let me just show that for a second in a way that has some prominence. It's the same thing as on the screen there. So I love Pink Socks. Enjoy them. This is going to be the video cast I do about Pink Socks. The detail that I think is probably pretty relevant here. Let me just go over to my messages. And here is the tweet. And let me see if I'm successfully showing that large enough. Here is the Health Datapalooza meetup information for. Now, let me just see. You can make sure you can read that. Yeah, you can. Okay. So the meetup is going to be, I'll just say the details. It is going to be at Spacey Cloud, 2309 18th Street Northwest. And vegan Georgian wines, Ukrainian and other Eastern European beards. Well, this is a nice place. So I'm going to go over here and look at Spacey Clouds for a second. And that looks cool. Let's take a look at the website. I know you're only able to see the center of this, but I do not want to join anyone's mailing list. I can post that. I think if I put it right in the center like this, see if that looks good. Yeah, you can see it. So this looks like a very, very cool place. And let me see if I really want to get, the location. Hopefully this will pull up a Google map. Yeah, it does. No, it did not work. They need to work on their integrations because it pulled up a tea bar in Austin, which is weird. All right, so this is where it is. I don't understand why that went away. I guess I can't do that at the same time. So it's here on 18th Street, just to get your bearings. This is DuPont Circle down here, so it's just north of DuPont Circle, in the mall. So I've never been in Washington, D.C., so that's a change in my life, but I don't know well enough to know what neighborhood this is or what you call it, but that's where it is. So going backwards here, this is where the Pink Sox meetup is going to be. It's going to be really cool. You should come. Pink Sox are, I think that and the walking gallery jackets. I'm going to stop the stream, and I'll probably do another walking gallery stream over the course of the weekend just to talk about what it is and what I think it means and why I think it's important. But I think the two movements in healthcare that are they're a little bit virtue signaling in the sense that, it's what the in crowd is doing and this kind of stuff. But I definitely think people who have a genuine interest in making things better tend to gravitate towards these kind of sometimes silly ideas, and they spread like wildfire. And the people who really want things to be different for the sake of people. And I would love to be a bazillionaire, which is a technical term, I assure you, and make a bunch of money in healthcare entrepreneurship. And I mentor a bunch of people and companies that are working to make a difference in, especially startups who are trying to get off the ground to do something that I think is valuable and contributes. And I would love for those to turn into good investments for me and for them. And I'm not opposed at all to making money in healthcare. But I do think that it shouldn't be the top priority. And if it is, and it becomes a top priority, I think there's like a special kind of burnout, a meaning burnout that happens when people take that approach. We're not evil sociopathic people. I think there are a bunch of evil sociopathic people who are doing things. I think Elon Musk has admitted that he's a narcissist. And it's interesting that there's a fascinating study, which I wish I could, snap my fingers and talk about, but there's good evidence that suggests that just simply asking a person, are you a narcissist, is as good a test as some of the most effective psychological surveys that you can take. Because a narcissist, one of the defining features is narcissists know what a narcissist is, and they don't see anything wrong with it, right? And so Elon Musk was asked, are you a narcissist? He's like, yeah, probably, right? And so that is when somebody tells you who they are, listen. And when you have someone who is a narcissist who has made $1 billion, then their ambitions can be dangerous. And I think that's a good example of what's happening with Twitter. I think there's plenty of cases in which billionaires in investment banking have screwed up healthcare pretty profoundly. I think there is an ongoing problem of investment banking coming in and really messing things up. I think there's a recent let me turn off my screen sharing so I can do some searches and embarrass myself by not revealing how little I know about. I think John Oliver on last week tonight. Yeah, so 2 days ago, it's got 2 million views since 2 days ago. Yeah, I think I might have 2 or 3 people watching this stream really appreciate it. But when John Oliver does a show, lots of people watch, and he did one on psychedelic assisted therapy. He's talking about psilocybin and LSD and mushrooms, and he's talking about the fact that the FDA looks like they're going to start doing the right thing, and it looks like these are very effective for depression. And he also talked about how people are trying to patent their mixes of LSD or their mixes of these substances, and in order to put themselves in a position to say, well, this is the best version of this, and we're gonna sell this. And it's good that that's changing. But I think it's another example. And go watch his reporting. It's really excellent. It's a good example of the problems of kind of. I am a capitalist, right? I find the, people who are anti-capitalist in general are problematic because, they walk around with iPhones and watch Netflix all the time, which are very much the results of the capitalistic system and competition working. And also examples of it them not working too in different ways. But capitalism gets stuff done. But there's a hyper capitalism, a money for its own sake, a money, money at any at any price. We'll do anything for money attitude that I think is, perhaps the love of money is the root of all evil. It's not like I'm talking about new ideas here. People have said these things, but I think it's very interesting to watch in healthcare where you have this constant ethical debate about whether or not something should be very expensive and whether or not treatment should be a privilege versus something that everyone gets, and the differences between kind of good, the best care that's available at any price versus the care that you can get for no price, or the care that society provides as a baseline. These are really important things. And so, like, all of these complex issues are, I guess I should have started sharing again. All of these complex issues are part of the, kind of Pink Socks idea. And so you're making a commentary. I think I could probably say that Nick is probably not as friendly to capitalism as I am. And I think maybe you're right. So hard to say. But I think I'm probably going to stop the stream now. I'm going to go see if I have the access to the room upstairs, which I need to spend some time setting up. So I might take a 20 or 30-minute break. I was going to stream first. So if you would like to keep watching, feel free to join me again. I'll find something else to talk about after I set up. But I would like to go upstairs now and have a more comfortable chair and start setting up the room that I will be using to stream the whole of Datapalooza. So thank you for listening. Really appreciate it. I think a digression, patient communities, and Pink Socks is a perfect way to kick off Health Datapalooza 2023. So thank you for listening. Oh, this video is sponsored by salt, because, salt makes things taste better. Salt. Bye.